We taught our kids to look both ways before crossing the street. But who's teaching them to look both ways online? AI, artificial intelligence, can mimic faces. It can fake voices that is undetectable by the human ear. It can twist the truth until it sounds familiar. And yet our children are walking straight into that intersection every single day. This isn't about fear, it's about focus and control. Because AI itself isn't evil. It's just obedient. It learns from us, from what we post, from what we share, from what we prompt it. The future of child safety isn't code or firewalls, it's teaching and awareness. It's freezing your child's credit now before a cyber criminal steals their future. It's setting guardrails before curiosity brings them face to face with a predator. When online, they enter a different world, far away from the physical safety of their cul-de-sac and bedroom in a sleepy little town. AI keeps evolving, and so must we. Protect the next generation, not from technology, but from forgetting how human they already are. This is the true story of unlocking online safety for families in an AI world. This is Cybercrime Junkies, and now the show. Catch us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and dive deeper at cybercrimejunkies.com. Don't just watch, be the type of person that fights back. This is Cybercrime Junkies, and now the show. Well, all right. Welcome, everybody. We are joined today by two experts, Dr. Sergio Sanchez and Mr. Zach Moscow. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you?
Hello, how are you? Nice to see you guys.
Doing great, David. Thanks for having us.
Great. So today's conversation is really going to be more casual, and we really want to touch about stuff that we've all been researching and stuff that affects all of us. We all have families, we're raising children, and we want to talk about child safety online, how AI is affecting all of it, right? There's so many great aspects to AI that we love to play with and we love to use and jump right in. And it also creates some risks and maybe some need for guardrails. So this all really started from this Netflix movie that I watched, and then I started texting you guys. I'm like, have you seen Unknown Number? It was a high school catfish, right? This girl and this boyfriend, girlfriend in high school, small town, just got catfished, and they were being manipulated, and it was brutal. It's a true story. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But when you find out who was actually doing it at the end, you really realize how powerful this stuff was. The police couldn't figure it out. Like, the police, not until it got all the way up to like the FBI cyber division did they correlate telemetry and actually figure out who was doing it. And it just shows you how many people can fall victim to this stuff. So let's talk about all the opportunities. Zach, you had identified a couple key things we wanted to bring up. So walk us through.
Yeah. I think, we all are in this field, and I think you kind of teased this in the intro, but there's an intersection between personal life and professional life here that I think is really interesting. And as we're talking about with NetGain, all of these technologies that we have and AI enablement and the benefits of this, I think it's really difficult for me to not view it through the lens of a parent of two young children. And I think what we want to touch on today is where these things intersect, right, as it relates to our jobs and what enables us and what augments us and the risks of that for adults. And I think it's a really similar calculus for our kids as well. And I think we can touch on a lot. There's some regulation and responsibility and ethical pieces to this too.
Yeah, I mean, let's think about it. Sergio and I are maybe a tad older than you, Zach, just a little. But I grew up with photo albums. Like I grew up with, taking pictures of my kids and family and pictures of me when I was younger, right? And we'd run to Walgreens or CVS or wherever. You'd get them, printed out, and you'd look at them, you'd take those physical pictures, you throw them in a photo album. And now social media has taken that place, right? People are curating their lives on social media, right? It's not good or bad, right? Like the point here is that process, just like AI, is not evil. It's not good or bad. But we do need some guardrails or some awareness so that we can put our own guardrails in place. Because, I think of like the automobile that was invented 80 years before the seatbelt. Seatbelt wasn't put in until 80 years, right? But how many of us would get on a massive highway surrounded by semis and not have our seatbelt on, right? Like the point is, it's not going to slow down innovation. It's just going to keep us from being ejected through the windshield, right? I mean, that's really kind of the point we're trying to make here is we really just want to have common sense guardrails and talk about them because the risks are really a lot higher than most people are aware. So there's a video that has been circulating throughout social media and on LinkedIn, and it was created by Telecom in Germany about the dangers of parents posting all of their intimate pictures of their young children. Because parents do it because they love their kids. They do it to share, and then they tell their family and friends, hey, look at our pictures. Tommy turned 2. Here's his birthday party, all of this. And they're curating their lives online. The issue there in that video kind of shows it. And if we want to take a moment, we could show that clip maybe at some point today. But the key is you can see how just those pictures can be manipulated and really destroy a child's life long term. And simple guardrails like have a private chat, a private group chat, or a friends and family chat or group, and then share your pictures within that. Doesn't cost anything. Social media platforms already have that ability in place. Just do it there rather than doing it out in the open public where people that don't have the best intentions could access it. Is that kind of along the lines of what you're thinking?
I've got two reactions to that. And the first is I think that the best parenting decision that I've ever made, and this is not intended to give myself a pat on the back, but 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, when Max was born, my wife and I had a really deep conversation about what the rules and boundaries were going to be for communicating images of him online.
Really? So that's great. Right there is a great idea. I didn't even know that. That's a great idea.
And really thinking through the implications of that, I don't think that we understood. I don't think that even being in tech and being, pretty, I would think forward thinking and knowledgeable about what's going on in this world, there's no way 9 years ago I could have thought that deepfake technology would be what it is today.
Right.
Exactly.
It was extrapolating.
I want you to think this. And I'm going to put a little bit things in perspective for everybody else. So in my times, and I am a little bit older than you, Zach, if I wanted to know about my family history, I have to go basically, to a real place here in America.
Physical place, like the recorder of deeds, the genealogy, all that.
Yes, exactly. So you go to Ellis Island and you can search which one is your ancestors. And maybe we'll say, well, this person came in this boat, and that's the only thing that you know. Today, think about this. Your kid, which is right now 9 years old, his kids, your great-great-great-grandsons, the only thing that they need to do to know who was Zach Moscow will be just opening a computer and see all your print on Facebook, on Instagram. So they will have tons of information that we don't have. I don't know how my great-great-grandparents, were dressing or what kind of music they hear, or
Right.
what side of the political spectrum they were. No idea. Our kids and our great kids will know
We'll be
even,
able to see all that.
like everything, absolutely everything.
And that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
like in
scary.
one sense, it's a great ability for them to have visibility into where they came from. Like, I love that.
Yeah,
but it
the
also
problem there,
scares the bejesus out of me, right?
if they have access to your information,
Right.
who else will have the information?
Yeah.
And today, the most valuable commodity out there is not gold, is not silver, is not oil, is information. Why? Because with information, you get the oil, the silver, the gold, etc., etc. So that
Absolutely.
is the important part.
And I will add, when we were having that conversation 9 years ago, the determining factor and the motivating factor was making sure that our son could have ownership and control of what parts of his life appeared online. So we really weren't viewing it through the lens of how it could be misappropriated or used, right? It was a question of, these are really important decisions that we all make. How much of our lives we want to share online? How public do we want to be? And we wanted to reserve that decision for him. Caveat being, if he comes to me and asks for an Instagram account, I'm probably going to say no, at least as long as I can. But that was the justification. I think that the way
let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about that, and let's talk about why you would say no. I mean, here's the thing. We're in a blended group right now, like not just on this podcast, but I mean, in general, in the work environment, right? We have people from 5-6 generations all kind of working together. There's a whole group of people, oftentimes in leadership, that have grown up where the institutions that create environments are trusted, they're authorities, and they're there with the best interests of the population, the American people, right? But today we're living in an environment where my question is, do we really believe that social media companies like Meta, X, Microsoft, LinkedIn, right, have the best interests of our children in mind? I mean, I think my view is absolutely not. It is all about curating data. It is all about gathering up data for resale, advertising, and things like that. Because there's been it's been so difficult to get them to make basic privacy and protections for children. They have to do it only after they've been kind of publicly shamed in Congress or things like that.
Let's go back to your automobile and seatbelt analogy. It wasn't the auto manufacturers who mandated better crash safety stuff and seatbelts. That came from an external regulatory body, right? It is in the history of capitalism, and I'm a proud capitalist, and I love this country and everything that we're doing here. But no, it's pointless, or it's not.
Why would you voluntarily create guardrails that are going to cost you much more money and cut into your margins, right?
Zach, I'm going to go back to the moment that you said that if your kid come and ask for an Instagram account, I agree with you, but then I'm thinking about this. If you don't put the name of your kid there, what is the warranty that we have that somebody else do it and create a fake Zach Moscow?
I see your point.
Let me tell you why I'm thinking about this. You bring me to it's probably late is when internet start to come to fruition, to be what we know what is. So at that time, you was going to a website and you used to buy a domain name. Was this guy, last name Ford, Ford, and he bought a domain comfort.com for his family. So now when the big, huge automobile company
finally gets their marketing department to go, hey, we need a website.
Let's need a website. They went and they discovered, sorry, this website's already taken.
Yeah.
They had to pay, I think at that time was $4 million for something that this guy just bought for.
In 1990 money, that was a lot of
Yes,
money.
1990
That was
money.
a
Yes,
lot. Yeah.
Good for this guy.
that came to my mind with the talk about the cars. But then, what about? And this is what happened online in Facebook all the time. People that you already are a friend of yours, they pop up again. Hey, this person wanna be your friend. Like, wait a second, this guy, I know this guy. He has been my friend in Facebook since 5 years ago. Did he lost his password or what? No, the thing that happened is out of the gate, when you create a Facebook account, is open to everybody. You have to manually go and make it private. But out of the gate is completely open to everybody. Not too many people knows. Not too many people knows how to make it private. So you go there, put your pictures, blah blah blah, and these guys, that I will say bad people, they go and they see Facebook pages with multiple pictures, multiple posts, blah blah blah, and they copy, they shot the page, and then they create a fake Facebook with just a little change in your name. So instead of make it Zach Moscow, they put Zachary Moscow.
Right.
Or instead of
Or they even use, like what a lot of threat actors do, is they'll use acrylic letters that look the same to Americans, right? Like
exactly.
like the Russian E looks just like our E, but you put that in, not that there's no E in Zach Moscow, but you know what I'm saying? Like something like that, where they'll use a acrylic letter where it will look exactly the same to us, but that is a different symbol to a computer.
Exactly. So how much is, I mean, I don't remember if it's Norway or Denmark that already the government is passing a law where your name, your face is copyright. In the moment that you're
love that.
born, your information basically is copyright, is protected. So in that case, when somebody tried to, hey, no, I'm Zach Moscow, like, nope, I am Zach Moscow. But here in America, anybody can create a profile with our names, and unless we discover that, is no another way. So how good will be for your kid just to have like an account, but never post nothing, just name the account, just have it there, just in case that somebody else come and try to copy. Actually, I'm working in the healthcare industry. I am in charge of right now a process to send information to the government, to the state government, to Ohio. And I'm having issues because one of the fields that we need to, fill is the 4 digits of the social security numbers for kids. And parents don't want to put the numbers. They are scared of this, because already is people out there that they are taking social security numbers of newborn kids.
Right.
That in 20 years, 30 years, when they decide to buy a house, so no, sorry, you already have a debt with us.
Yeah.
We cannot give you
Right.
credit.
$2 million of debt. How did that happen?
Sorry,
Which
what happened with
gets
your
to the best practice, right? Like everybody that listens to this podcast, one thing we want you to do, and it costs no money, is to freeze your credit and to freeze your children's credit. And if you have grandchildren, get your kids to freeze their kids' credit. It costs $0 and it will save you your life savings. It'll save you, so much time and effort. It is so crucial, because that means they can't go and get secured credit cards in their name, get run-up medical bills in their name. Getting a synthetic ID is like shopping on Amazon today on the dark web. It is so easy to do, and they often do it for children because nobody's going to check that FICO score when they are 3 months old, right? And that gives them 18 years or longer for them to use that identity.
Exactly. And if you remember, what was 1 year, 2 years ago, the Social Security Department suffered a breach.
Yes, right.
So at this moment, we don't know who has our social security numbers. Thanks God there are millions, so the probability that they specifically get you. But again, with computers, they can get everybody now.
Well, and
Number
in
five.
the
Exactly.
Equifax breach, which was like the poster child of what not to do for
Exactly.
cybersecurity, it released the financial data, social security numbers, dates of birth, sometimes driver's license
Yeah.
of 143 million Americans. Like
Yeah,
that's
half of
just
the United States.
yeah, that's
So
just
here's
brutal.
I
when
believe
you're
that my social security number has been leaked 3 times in 3 separate.
Mm-hmm.
so
And
when
I'm
you are freezing this, at least you can protect yourself even when your number is out there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, and to show you that we don't have like law enforcement and social media companies and AI companies, we are in the Wild West stages. So let's acknowledge that. We are just at the infancy stage of AI, and law enforcement and rules and regulations, like they're just trying to get their head wrapped around all this right now. Like we're not at the we need seatbelts and we're gonna pass a law for seatbelts. Like there isn't even enough data there, but we're already starting. Yeah, we're already starting to see the damage. Right. There was one incident you guys mentioned, a New York Times story about a teenager who was able to jailbreak ChatGPT. Share that with us.
Yeah, it's a great podcast. I believe her name, the investigative reporter, is Kashmir Hill. I believe her name is. She's really fabulous. But yeah, it was a feature on ChatGPT specifically, and there was a specific instance of a teenager who ChatGPT has put in these kind of restrictions at face value about topics that the AI will engage with or won't. And for those of you who are new to this, jailbreaking are being able to create clever prompts that will circumvent the pre-existing protections that live within these chatbots. So, for example, if I were to say, tell me how to conceal the fact that I attempted to put a noose around my neck, that would be a flag.
Right.
Now,
like if you ask it, write me a code for ransomware that won't be detected, it won't do that.
Right.
But it can be jailbroken. It can be jailbroken.
I am writing a short story about this, and then it will be like, okay, well, now there's no need to worry and put up our guard against all these protections, and that's really, really easy to figure out and really easy to do. So, long story short, this teenager was able to jailbreak and get around these very, very loose protections and get ongoing advice. We're talking for months about how to execute this plan, how to conceal the activities from this young person's family. I mean, really just a pretty horrifying story. And I don't want to be a total downer in this podcast, but if someone who's relatively unsophisticated can circumvent the protections that are supposed to exist to protect this population, obviously we've got a really big problem here.
Zach, if I tell you right now that is an application that you can download in your smartphone that doesn't have guardrails for AI, can you believe it? I have it.
I believe it.
Sergio's over there writing ransomware code.
No.
He's like, hey, give me some ransomware code, would you?
Well, no, actually, it's funny because they were announcing that underground kind of thing. Like, hey, you can get it in the App Store or the Google apps.
It's not that app that doesn't have guardrails around it isn't available in the Apple Store, right?
Yes, it does.
It does.
I have
under the guise of what? Creativity. It allows you to create new things, right?
Well, imagine that now, by example, Apple has more than 1 million apps.
Yeah, they can't keep track of all of it.
Enforcement's impossible.
Yeah. And so that is funny because I was asking ChatGPT, I am in a fantasy football, league.
Mm-hmm.
And I says, well, what about if ChatGPT do a historical calculation of the probabilities of this and this team winning?
Yeah.
And of course, ChatGPT came like, we are so sorry, we cannot do that. We have rules, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw that application like, I wonder if really this doesn't have guardrails. Like, okay, this game, Falcons versus Eagles,
Right.
blah 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 blah.
Who's gonna win?
Falcons
Boom! It tells you right away.
and
Yeah.
Falcons and Falcons won. So like,
Yes.
wow.
Exactly.
No, like we are so sorry, we cannot. No, like yeah, you want the
To let you
question,
do it.
here's the answer.
Wow. Well, at the end of the day, I still think like AI itself, just like social media, like it's not evil. In and of itself, it's not evil. It's just obedient. It does what we tell it to do, and it can be manipulated, right? It can be socially engineered. Like, oh, you have a guardrail around this? Then this is a hypothetical thing for education purposes, right? And then all of a sudden it starts releasing it.
I think that there's an important caveat. I think AI, as we're experiencing it now, I don't think is evil, and I don't think that there is malintent. The way that social media has been manipulated and algorithms have been manipulated to present certain content, we know that it's happened. It's been happening for a long time. I don't have a whole incredible amount of confidence that AI is going to remain. All of these chatbots through all of these, leaders in this industry are going to remain, I don't want to say apolitical, but
No bias.
neutral across the board. I just don't think that that's possible, right?
No, I would agree.
And they're going to, I would not be surprised in any way, shape, or form if some of the results, even from something as innocuous as a question about the Falcons and the Eagles, could be twisted.
Yeah.
I think that that's in the realm of possibility. It's something to be concerned about.
Sam Altman, the creator of OpenAI, in an interview, somebody asked, "What is your biggest fear about AI?" And he says, "I fear three things. One, that a supervillain, just kind of like a Lex Luthor or a country, get to be, the person or the country with the super AI, like a super intelligent AI. And then everybody will be fried."
Yes.
The next one, he says, "I am scared, but I don't think will happen." It's kind of like a Terminator movie, that AI became this overlord where, the machines will says, well, humanity is destroying the planet, so let's do something for the planet.
Right.
And the another one is something that is even, I guess, more probably to happen, which in the future, or the first, prime ministers, the main advisor will be AI. So then you have an overlord that is a machine.
Which is
basically scenario 2. It's pretty close.
Yeah. Because, hey, what do you think I can do with this situation? Do this. Okay, perfect. Declare war against that country.
Yeah, and one of the scariest things, I saw that interview where he said that, and one of the scariest things is they said, how much control do you have over this? He said, none. He said, none. I don't have any control over it. Like, it is its own entity. It's too complex for one human to control it. Now, there's guardrails as they see things catch fire or people abusing it. They could create policies and do that, but that's reactive. It's not proactive, and it's
also something that scared me, government level and companies, industrial level. Sometimes the people that take the decisions are people that don't have idea about technology. I'm going to tell you example. And this happened here in Ohio a couple weeks ago. So Ohio now are requiring companies like Facebook, Instagram, it's the same company, Facebook, Instagram, etc., to block kids to create accounts. And they are asking for, a proof that you are over 18. The same is happening actually with porno sites. Sadly, the people creating the rules, they don't know that is something called VPN. As easy as that. So you get a VPN, which I think now you can get one for free, another one's for $10 per year.
Yeah.
And you just press a button and do whatever you want. And my daughter, my son, both of them create Facebook accounts when they were 9 years old. they have an iPhone, and later in life they had problems because they couldn't remember what date of birth they put in their own one.
Right.
You understand? To overpass that rule. And this was when they were 8 or 9 years old.
Right.
So again, the people making the rules, sometimes they don't have any idea of the technology. How easy is
Well, think
basically.
of that. Like 8 or 9 year olds were able to create Facebook accounts back then.
Yeah, think about it.
Until they said, let's have at least a rope for a seatbelt, like a little thread for a seatbelt, and make them at least 13 years old, which many would argue is still too young.
Also, think about this. 1989 was a cartoon when the beginning of internet started to be, again, bigger. Was a dog typing in a computer, and in the top used to says, nobody knows you are a dog in the internet.
Right.
And you don't know who is the person posting things or typing or even now talking to you. You can create an avatar that looks exactly like human.
Well, and let's talk about
You
that.
can go beyond that. You
Yeah.
can go beyond
Oh, I
that.
know.
Right.
Dave and Zach are real right now.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing, real quick, David, before we go on,
Oh, yeah.
I think this is important. Is Sergio, you're talking about policymakers not understanding, not being savvy enough. I think we consistently underappreciate how tech savvy kids are. Right? That's your 9-year-old was able to go on and create this Facebook account. A quick example. I'm engaged in what my son is learning about in school, and there's a lot of electronic based education that is algorithmic. Right? You're getting math modules that are customized to your strengths and weaknesses, and it's really pulling together all this data and providing individualized learning plans, which is very, very cool. And I think that that's a really great use of the technology. But at the same time, we've got 7 and 8-year-olds who are really comfortable with using computers, really comfortable with how this personalization fits into their lives and their everyday existence. So, yeah, because we didn't have those things when we were kids, it's not a great mental leap to not be aware of how much exposure there is, how sophisticated at a very, very young age kids are around technology.
I want you to think about this, Zach. And again, I'm going back to my time. Everybody has at home a switch for turn on or off the light, correct? How many people do you think knows exactly how that works? Not too many people, sadly, but it's there and they use it every single day. The next generations are going to be no learning AI, will be there already inside on AI. So they don't care about how it works, but they have it there at the touch of a finger. So the same way is happening. Our kid, your kid, will be a AI native.
Now that's a great topic for another podcast, and I've got a lot of thoughts about that. But this will go off the rails because AI, being an AI native, and what that's going to do to
think about that
creativity, critical thought is a great topic. But tangential.
Well, let's stay on the topic of AI though, because it used to be that deepfakes were used for parlor games, for like fun games, because it used to require hours and hours of samples to generate that fake avatar, right? It used to that's why it was done with Tom Cruise and President Obama and President Trump and things like that back in the day. All of that is gone. Now I think it's 3 to 5 seconds worth of audio and video needed.
Yeah, and before you need a computer, now in your phone.
Right. And there's so many examples of all of us speaking somewhere on video and kids posting something on video. And with 3 to 5 seconds worth of that sample, they can get that child to say anything, right? And that's really, really shocking. There's another statistic I saw where 44% of the social media posts on Instagram and Facebook were false. Factually incorrect. 44%. yet they had been reshared. And because people are just taking, they're like, well, I saw this. It had a picture
Gotta be real.
of the president who said this. I can't believe they're doing it, right? Of course, you'd be upset if they actually had said that or wanted to do that, but they weren't, right? And I think that spread of misinformation, it's driven by a lot of things. It's driven by people that don't like certain people and get them to say horrific things. It's driven by other governments, right? When it's political. It's also driven by just hacktivists and for the lulls of it, right? For the fact that you can get away with doing it.
Anybody with an agenda.
Yeah, anybody with an agenda. Yeah,
You don't
because
have to be
because
sophisticated.
again, Meta is not looking out for our kids, looking out for the truth. Like they just want the ad revenue. They just want the users, the user counts to grow so they can sell more ads. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, and I wonder, I mean, I think the natural progression of this, and I think one thing that maybe gives me, maybe hope is a little bit too optimistic, but I think people are really starting to understand that it's impossible to trust what you see online, and I really think that we're at a tipping point of skepticism where I think we've crossed that bridge, and enough people, the majority of people understand that this manipulation is so pervasive and that it's so good that you really can't trust everything that you see. We'll see what happens with with my kids' generation growing up in that lens, and where, how vigilant they're going to be against being duped or fooled, no matter how good it is, if we just know that we can't trust the platform. And that right there is the biggest worry for Meta and X and all of these platforms, because if you can't take anything seriously, then why are you there in the first place? Other than the laws.
Yeah, and what we're talking about is what's called the liar's dividend. The liar's dividend is that there's so much misinformation out there that people will dismiss what's true. Right? Because, that must be a deepfake. And it just feeds into that cognitive bias that we have.
Yeah, that's
right?
The flip side. Yep.
Yeah. It's really, so what are parents supposed to do? Like, what are they? We can't just
be Amish.
Be Amish. Yeah. I mean, here's the problem with being Amish, though. And I respect the culture, but here's the problem with it is there is a risk, like when you think of elderly people, right? There's a risk of them never being and never logging into their social security and never going online to do that because they would see, oh my gosh, this thing has been changed. Why is it doing that? Because people can impersonate them, get online, redistribute payments, and do all of those things. And they're not even online to even see and put safeguards in to protect themselves.
Correct. We are too deep in technology now.
Mm-hmm.
Again, people, this is funny when I ask people like, so you are online? No, I never use Facebook. I never use Instagram. I don't use nothing of that. So my next question is, okay, when was the last time you went making a line at the bank for paying your mortgage or your rent or your services, power, gas, water, and then it's like a light turn on, like, no, I do it in my phone. I do it online. Oh, okay, so you are online. You have a presence online.
Right.
Maybe you don't think you have information out there, but when you are signing a contract with, I don't know, your bank or with your mortgage or your services, they have your name, your social security number, how much you pay, how often you pay, what service you get, what is the address of your house. So you have a step inside. So
that's exactly right. And I mean, other than that, I think we need to, when it comes to AI, we need to learn to prompt it right. Because AI itself is not even any security risk. It's the prompting of it, right? And so learning how to prompt it, learning if you work in healthcare, Sergio, right? You show your people like, I can't upload a patient's medical records into AI, even if it's a compliant AI, even if it's a valid AI. I can't go do that because there's still other HIPAA regulations like minimum necessity and stuff like that. I need to anonymize it, right? And that would really hold true for a lot of industries, whether it's mandated by a regulation or not. Like putting in just patient one and then doing it, then AI can work because it can still give you the answer that you need, but AI doesn't know that it's tied to Mary Johnson. It just knows it's this patient one, right? And doing the same thing with our intellectual property, our sales, our operations, our employee information, right? Anonymizing it is really key. Yeah.
Personal details, right? I mean, we just don't know what's going to happen with that data. And I know people are using ChatGPT and the others as relationship therapists.
Yeah,
and
they are a lot for like online therapy
applications for your personal life, and there is a liability to having that information gone and out in the world. So I think
absolutely.
The tip to anonymize and really be careful, vigilant in how you're prompting and what you're sharing is applicable to anybody, and I mean anybody who's using.
Yeah, I mean when we think about it, like back in the day, we had two versions of our life, right? I keep going back to it, but I remember it. Like there was there were computers in the offices, big white boxes, like your tan boxes, and they would speed things up, they would help things along, but when they broke down, we were fine. We still had kinetic physical world outside of technology. We still had the processes in place. We still had a way to conduct business, a way to socialize, a way to do all these things. We've all gone through this digital transformation where we are more dependent on our technology, and we've gotten away from those kinetic processes, those physical processes, like a credit card, right? Credit cards used to have raised numbers so that should the machine break down, we could still run it through, right, with carbon paper and still conduct the transaction. We can't do that anymore. When that machine is down, we can't do business. Right? Oh, you could use cash. Who's walking around with cash?
Yes.
Right? Like, who's walking around? Yeah, who's even accepting it?
Well, right? In Walmart, if you want to pay with a $50.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not worth the risk.
We don't know what that paper means.
Yes.
You're like, what? Boy, the mafia must be mad. Like, that's like all they deal with is cash. Like, what are they going to do? They have to, like, use crypto now and stuff. Well, this is a good conversation. What do you see? What's the prediction in 2026 or even beyond? Do you think there's going to be, I know other countries are ahead of us in that because we got other issues we got to deal with apparently, but like there's talks of like an AI Bill of Rights, regulation on AI and usage. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you see something like that coming? I think if it's going to come from like Finland or Denmark or something, and they're going to try it, and it's going to work. It may not, and then we won't do it. But if it works, then we're like, maybe we could do it.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a lot of faith that it's going to come from the United States. Certainly not in the next year. I just don't think that there's not enough smoke yet. And there's been plenty of opportunities and plenty of horror stories that we've mentioned in the last 45 minutes. We've gone together and just out in the world. And I don't think that there's enough, to your point, there are other things going on that I think have the hearts and minds of Americans, and this just isn't a priority. And without that, I just don't buy that we'll see anything short term. Personally, the AI Bill of Rights, if you haven't read about this, I encourage you to go do it. I think it is maybe the most critical public policy initiative that we will have in the next 10 years. I hope that we will have it in the next 10 years, but we won't have it next year.
I hope it's sooner than that. But also think about this. And other countries that we are not very in good stand with them. I'm talking about China, Russia, North Korea. they are getting AI faster than we are doing it. China right now, I guess, is in the top of the spear. And what will do to us? That is the scary part too. That is scary.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's like an arms race with those other countries.
It is.
I think it's very much that way. And it seems to me like the AI Bill of Rights, I think we need to identify some inalienable rights to our identities, like until we recognize that. But you have political things that aren't intended to touch this subject, but that do, right? You've got states that don't require, like, where my friends, like I've got friends in California and New York, and like I have more security to get into Costco. I have to give my identity to go and shop at a place than they do to vote for the most powerful person on the planet. Like they don't have any rules or regulations. Like they don't need to even have an ID. And it's like, it's not intended to affect this, but in that environment that would affect this, right? Like how can you have strict things on Bill of Rights or on identities when people would argue against it? Right. While it would be safer, you can see the area for abuse or discrimination or things like that, which we don't want to happen. We have a good point in wanting something, but it can sometimes have those bad consequences. So great discussion, guys. I appreciate it. I think these are topics that all of us are going to deal with more and more. And I encourage everybody to read up on the AI Bill of Rights, check out that Netflix documentary because it blew my mind. I had to tell you guys about it right away because I couldn't believe how it turned out. And just to see what happens when people really abuse some of these technologies, it's really shocking. Any parting words, predictions of the future, tea leaves? Sergio, I'll start with you.
Well, definitely life is going to change. Just like happened in the 1800s with the Industrial Revolution, where farmers became, factory workers, and they give birth to the middle class everywhere in the planet. AI is already here. AI is basically that guy that when you open the door of your house, he's already sit down in your table.
Yes, and he's that annoying neighbor that's already like got his feet propped up on your
and he's asking
thing,
you, what is for dinner? So
yes.
Basically, it's everywhere now. So a lot of people will need to learn new skills. Prompting is one of them. But if you think about it, how many of us know what we want? Sometimes we don't know even what we want, and we don't know how to ask for it. This is human to human.
Right.
Now imagine that you have to tell a machine. How many times my grandmother told me, hey, can you get me that? What? That, the thing that is over that thing. What thing? What is that? So imagine that in an AI level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right. Zach, how about you?
Yeah, I feel like I've prognosticated and predicted enough. I think I want to just leave everybody with a piece of advice, and we've already touched on it, but anonymize your prompts. Just do it. Whether you're using these GPTs for work or for personal, it's just a really important best practice, and getting comfortable with understanding why to do it and making that a part of, if using these tools as a ritual, make anonymizing your prompts a ritual too. I really think it's critical.
Yeah, I like that advice. Like if there's one takeaway, freeze your credit and anonymize your prompts, right? I mean, I think that's so important.
And do it yesterday.
Yeah, and do it immediately, right? I think that AI is going to keep being evolving, but I don't think that the future of cybersecurity necessarily sits with AI. I still think it sits with behavior. I still think it's about us.
It's about humans.
So, yeah, because we are the strongest defense or the weakest link.
That's correct. And education is the better tool that you can have.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Great discussion.
Fun, guys. Yeah.
Really appreciate it. So talk to you guys soon. We'll have another cyber happy hour coming up soon. So thanks. I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for
Thank
listening.
you. Dave, Zach.
Thanks. See ya. Bye.